this wonderful book about wisdom, which Helen has brought to us, and we'll learn about it. I just feel at this time, with all that's going on in the world, and we've all been very aware of things, that if ever there's a moment when we need the book, perhaps it's now. I mean, it's always now anyway, isn't it? But it's come at a very important time as we seek wisdom, don't we, in our own lives and in the world around us. We pray for wisdom, for other people to find wisdom, so that we might have a more just and peaceful world.
I've been connected to Holy Rood since 2015, about 8.5 years now. And when I came to Holy Rood, it was a very exciting place because I was finding things about my faith that expanded my faith. So it's very much about me hearing about wisdom, and that wisdom kind of linked to various things that I'd been researching myself and connecting to. So for example, I was very connected to this trying to understand the body, and how as we connect to the body we open to this sense of presence within. So it would really help me to what I call join the dots, as it were, and to kind of find out more about naming things, but also how wisdom worked in community, with hearing people's stories and very much being with people, which I'll say a bit more of. And then during COVID times, I did an online course in wisdom, and sort of started collating all these different aspects, because there's so many aspects to wisdom. And I started collating these ideas into a course which went down very well. But also I had my own way of writing, which creative writing is very important to me, and sort of being inspired with what kind of bubbles up. And I went on a creative writing weekend that was actually run at Holy Rood in 2018. And someone called Kate Fox, the Yorkshire poet, was very much involved in that and running it. And she gave us 15-minute talks or listenings in that time. And so I actually said to her, you know, I want to get back into this flavour of this new voice that I'm hearing, you know, within this environment, within Holy Rood. And she said, why don't you have an experimental year when you just experiment with your creative writing? And that was so key to me finding this new voice that was coming out. And I'm just going to read a poem from my book. So this is the first time my poetry's actually got published, which is exciting. But this was the poem that I wrote in 2018 that kind of describes this new voice that I was trying to find. And it's called The Cry. Your cry has drawn me from my warm bed, intriguing mixture of squawk and screech, a voice of one that sounds in the dark, that calls to be named. I'm unprepared for this quest. My clothes lie hidden with one who sleeps. The open window allows greater sound, placing you in the depths of the garden. Yet you, mysterious creature, show me something to capture, a new voice, a sense of other, here in this place, drawing me out into the warm, dark night. So that was kind of the start of this quest to try and voice and understand this new voice, and to collate it from what I was hearing about divine wisdom and holy wisdom, and about the sort of deep body understanding. And it all came together through those various ways, with the encouragement of yourself to have time to actually write. And then over the following years, I actually collated a lot of material. I read a lot about wisdom. And I want to also say about that, because what I was reading about wisdom was there was quite some quite heavy theological things out there, and there's some really brilliant theological things about wisdom out there that I enjoyed, but some I found a bit heavy. And then there's also a lot of books out there about opening to wisdom through contemplative ways, which is great too. But we have all sorts of people coming to Holy Rood, and I wanted this to be a very inclusive book. We have a lot of people going through really tough times. We have a lot of people with mental health issues, and some people can't sit still for 5 minutes. And yet we all have this lovely embodied wisdom within us, and we all have this great way of connecting to our wisdom. And so I want this to be a book that's very practical and open. You know, wisdom is experiential, so really wanted the wisdom to be able to be sort of everybody to know that everybody can connect to their own wisdom in all different ways. It doesn't have to be sort of set things. We're all different, and it's often finding our differences. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to really get it out there, that, you know, we're all embodied, wise people. I do a whole chapter on community and wisdom, and to me there's something about opening out to this spacious place within us where we can connect to what I might call a fountain within us, or a spring or a well, something deep within us that then has to flow out.
Yes.
And I think if it doesn't flow out, then it might get stagnant, as it were. So wisdom is relational. Wisdom connects us to others. So it's not that we know everything and we're coming to help you out. Is we know that as we welcome people into community, there's that mutual connection with our wisdom and their wisdom. Yes. And that we will learn together, and that's how we learn. We learn through people's stories, and you know, and then also we help people to sit with what is, and there's wisdom comes through that. So we haven't got the answers here. Life is tough, life is difficult, but there's something about sitting with what we would call witness or witness. Where we sit together and learn together, but there's something that holds us in a wider holding, which is very much connected to wisdom and this lovely movement of wisdom. Because often something happens in the story, either in the one-to-one work we do here or in groups like we're running this weekend. Something happens in the interactions of people, in the sharing of the stories. You know, it's just really good that connects. We always say that we're kind of held in a greater love, and wisdom very much connects us to love and beauty and unity. Wisdom covers many ologies. So wisdom covers theology and psychology, and anthropology, very people-orientated, ecology, philosophy. Every ancient culture and every ancient faith connects with wisdom. So I've very much connected, I've had to sort of hone it down to experiential wisdom, because wisdom is very experiential. So this book includes lots of poems, lots of prayers and people's stories, and very much my own creative writing, and all sorts of links to quotes, so that actually we learn about different aspects of wisdom through the stories. And with the ecological link, we have meetings here, ecology meetings, and ecology actually comes from the word oik. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it looks like oikos in Greek, which means home. And so it's very much linking to our relationship to home, the home within ourselves and the home around us of the earth. And the home within every single creature and non-human around. So it's very much a connecting to a belonging and a unity. And that's kind of what we do in relationship as we connect to that ecological side. And we always bringing the earth into our prayers and also the seasons, and using the wisdom of the earth. There's a whole chapter in my book about the wisdom of the earth. But also the environment's very important that I've found of exploring. And my experiential way of exploring the environment, the nighttime, the darkness, for example, is very important. There's a chapter on darkness and suffering, because wisdom very much comes out of the unbounded time. You know, we're living in a unmapped place really at the moment. We don't know where we're going, and there's chaos around and climate change, but there's something about learning how to be with this unmapped place. And the nighttime, the darkness often gives us that experience. In COVID times, for example, I found the darkness was a helpful presence to me. For me, it was the darkness that was the understanding presence, and connecting to that. That helped me to sort of sit with the unprecedented stuff that was going on in the world. There was something about that comforting presence where I could connect to wisdom and that movement of wisdom through that darkness. The cover of the book, when Natalie said to me, "Oh, have you got any ideas for the cover of the book?" I said, "Well, not really, but I have tried to try and depict on a bit of cloth something of the creative process." I sort of set myself a challenge. I love stitch. And I sort of set myself the challenge to try and depict the sort of energy of wisdom, and I sort of had what I would term a mysterious background with lots of different types of material that I stitched on first, and then this sort of energetic sort of chakra energies running through the sort of roots, and the sort of eye that I've done lower down. I'm pointing to my own stomach here, because for me a lot of wisdom comes from those depths. And then something about the intuition that comes out, and this sort of lovely flow. So I tried to depict that, and Natalie has very beautifully managed to get that as the cover of my book, which is very clever. So I just wanted to give a little history of that.
I feel like Holy Rood House is one of those places that keeps coming back in and out of my life. Sort of as a publisher, one of the things I've learned is that really people are trusting you with their most precious possessions. It's a bit like, allowing somebody to look after their children, but it's more, even closer and deeper than that. And much has been written about wisdom over the years, Helen, as you said, sort of from big academic tomes about wisdom literature to all sorts of other things. That it's something that fascinates, and yet something that we'll seek, or maybe should seek, or maybe if we gave up seeking it, it would find us. You draw us into that space so beautifully, where we can seek wisdom, and you invite us to do this in the company of many others. While I was working, well, after we'd sent the book to print, I was visiting the mausoleum of Rumi in Konya in central Anatolia, in Turkey, with a group of people, and it was wonderful to be reminded of your book and of how that great tradition of wisdom, of seeking wisdom, of being sought out by wisdom, spans religions, traditions, centuries. You talk about Hildegard. In short, we have a very beautiful book here. I think one of the things you remind us of, that we're also carrying that wisdom with us. You teach us to listen to our bodies. I was thinking maybe one day I should come to a Holy Rood House at Elizabeth, as you said, maybe when there's not a storm on. But then I thought, actually, isn't that the sort of place where people do come when there's a storm in their lives, or many storms brewing at the same time? Now, we can't all, come to you all the time, but thank you very much for sharing with us something of your life, your work at Holy Rood House, which we can share with others.
I wonder if you feel that wisdom and the presence of wisdom is something that comes deep from within ourselves. And if we're alone in a cave, so to speak, we would still feel it. Or is there an element of that needing to be sparked by a relationship with others? And do you see wisdom as something that generates between two or more people and is enhanced by that?
We're all in relation, because we actually start off, sperm and egg in relation. So we've got that relation of making us individual in the first place. And, I would say that or many guests, I suppose, who I work with and connect to wisdom, is very much about this sense of accompanier, or being accompanied. So I would say that, but yes, very much a sense of accompanier, but also that we connect relationally through wisdom, so we can get that connection there. So very much that we have relationships within ourselves. The chapter on community, I start off by talking about the fact that we've got a community within us. So our own community, what in psychosynthesis they would call a village within us, and looking at the different parts of ourselves. So we've got community within ourselves, as well as, thank you, as well as connecting with community outwards, and to me the movement of wisdom kind of explains such a lot of what goes on within ourselves, but also outwardly to others.